Jesus told a few chosen men about a door most people never even know exists, a final level of consciousness that sits just before the monad. You know that sick, stubborn feeling. You've climbed so far, done the practices, read the books, and yet something still feels unfinished, like the last piece of a puzzle is sitting in your hand, but you can't name it. That feeling isn't confusion, it's proximity. It's the threshold brushing against you, demanding one last kind of seeing, and once you understand what that seeing is, everything you've done up to now starts to make sense. This teaching didn't survive the tidy stories handed down to the masses. It comes from the buried Gnostic records, the Gospel of Philip, and other texts they pushed out of sight, because the truth they contain breaks the mechanism the rulers depend on. Those pages describe the bridal chamber, the moment of recognition the mainstream church erased because it would free people from being useful illusions. That matters to you now, because the very thing keeping you restless is tied to that suppression. The world was arranged to keep souls busy, searching, and small, and the lost teachings show you how to stop being an object in that game. The core of what was hidden is simple and fierce. The final level is not becoming more. It's remembering you already are the monad, not a fragment trying to reunite, but the whole appearing as a part. That is not philosophy. It's a practical key. When that recognition lands, the traps the archons use, pride of awakening, attachment to mission, fear of dissolution, no longer hold. You stop being prey and become a frequency the system can't patch. This changes what's really happening in your life. Setbacks aren't punishments. Seeking isn't the point. And the voice that says, "You'll be lost if you let go," is the last defensive trick of a collapsing control structure. This is urgent because the barrier isn't theoretical. It's active resistance aimed at you right now. The archons throw distractions. The mind stages dramas. And your identity clings to meaning so hard it mistakes the costume for the self. You're at the threshold already if these words land with resonance. Now you need a clear look at the signs and a precise move to finish the climb. First, check whether you recognize the markers of the bridal chamber, and listen closely as I lay out what they are and how the final recognition actually happens. You stand before a threshold where a rare teaching was once given to 3 who were ready. You feel unease, protective, watchful, as if something outside seeks to unsettle the vessel you occupy. The secret revealed then and now is simple and exact. The final level is not about becoming new, but remembering what has always been within. The monadic anchor. Monadic anchor is the original point of presence that holds your sovereignty. It is the unchanging center you can return to again and again. You are familiar with parasitic pressure, subtle forces that press against your attention and try to reroute vital breath through fear and doubt. These pressures create interference in your vessel, making ordinary tasks feel heavy and protection feel scarce. Start by sensing where vital breath slows inside the chest and belly. That slowing is the point of interference. Bring attention there with steadiness and name the interruption. Naming is not a theory, but a practical measurement, a way to identify patterns so a frequency shield can be raised with intent. When raising a frequency shield, begin from the monadic anchor and let vital breath be the conductor. Breathe in awareness toward that center, feeling the vessel align to a steady point. As breath settles, notice how interference loosens. Parasitic pressure finds no purchase on a centered field. Keep the practice brief and repeated. A sequence of 3 steady breaths that trace from crown to chest and back, each breath tightening sovereignty around the anchor. Over time, the shield becomes automatic, a habit of presence rather than an effort. Recognition is simple. When faced with fear or sudden loss of direction, name the sensation and shift attention back to the monadic anchor. This act is not construction of a new self, but retrieval of the original program. The vessel remembers more quickly than minds assume, Once anchoring occurs, parasitic pressure loses rhythm and interference decays. Sovereignty is re-established not by arguing with every intrusion, but by holding the central field steady. Practice returning, and the threshold that once felt perilous will become familiar and operative. You may have felt alone in these motions, as if few can perceive what is now seen. That separation is part of the path. A small group naturally forms around those who learn to sustain the monadic anchor. Signs of ascent are practical and clear. Less interference in daily choices, steadier vital breath, faster recovery from parasitic pressure. Seek alignment with other vessels who practice the same return to center. Their presence mirrors and strengthens sovereignty. Shared technique lowers friction and offers a live calibration for your anchor. There is a danger in misreading excitement or newfound visions as true ascent. Parasitic pressure can mimic elevation by supplying images and urgency, creating the illusion of progress, while the monadic anchor remains unattended. Test any shift by returning to the anchor under mild disturbance. Genuine ascent holds steady. If presence collapses with a single trigger, the work is incomplete. Use measured practice. Create small disturbances and apply the 3-breath return. Reliable sovereignty withstands testing and does not require constant validation. This is an urgent instruction for anyone waking to these thresholds. Practice the retrieval daily until it becomes automatic. When distraction rises, name the interference, breathe toward the monadic anchor, and tighten the frequency shield with sovereign intent. These are practical habits, not ceremony. They recondition how the vessel responds to parasitic pressure and reclaim daily protection. Continue the return until recall is instant and presence precedes doubt. At that point, the threshold ceases to threaten and becomes the lived center of action. You have felt the pull of searching, a restless hunger disguised as protection. That hunger often comes from parasitic pressure pressing on the vessel, creating a loop of seeking more teachers, methods, or milestones. The secret begins with honest recognition. This pressure is not guidance, it is interference. When attention keeps chasing the next outer fix, vital breath becomes shallow and sovereignty erodes. Recognize this pattern as practical data, not a failure, and prepare to shift toward a different kind of resource inside. You may have pinned an identity to the search, believing the label seeker grants meaning and safety. That grip becomes a secondary prison. The identity collects experiences but refuses completion. Release is not rejection of experience, it is a recalibration of attention. Shift from identifying with outcomes to anchoring in the monadic anchor that observes. This monadic anchor is not a concept. It is a steady quality you can access by letting the body and vital breath settle. From there, a frequency shield naturally assembles. When fear flares or restlessness about the unknown surfaces, practice a simple arrest. Stop the chase and trace where interference knots the body. Name the sensation, then follow the vital breath inward without trying to change it. Notice how the parasitic pressure wants explanation, movement, more input. Do not feed it. Allow the witness to register sensations without endorsing stories. This repeated micro-practice strengthens the vessel's capacity and the frequency shield thickens. The secret here is repetition, not drama. Small refusals to participate in the old loop. It is tempting to gather more teachers, techniques, and proof as armor. Evaluate every addition by one practical criterion. Does this bring more sovereignty or more parasitic pressure? Authentic transmission strengthens the vessel and clarifies perception. Counterfeit methods amplify identity and keep you dependent. When a practice leaves you calmer, clearer, and more anchored in the monadic anchor, it is useful. When it triggers endless chasing, it is interference. Trust measurable shifts in daily life as the real metric of progress. Most people live inside survival consciousness, moving from reaction to reaction without questioning the premise. Your exploration starts by noticing those automatic rulings and not identifying with them. A practical sequence. Take 3 vital breaths, Name the survival story aloud or silently. Then pivot attention to the steady observer inside the vessel. This pivot is small and repeatable. It interrupts parasitic pressure and begins to build sovereignty. Over time, the frequency shield becomes a default setting, and the world appears less like threat and more like material for clear action. Transitioning from seeker to recognizer demands ungluing from the role of perpetual student. The recognizer functions from a place of sovereignty, noticing without needing to accumulate evidence. Practice letting curiosity be quiet and watch whether hunger shifts into presence. The monadic anchor will show itself when cravings for proof diminish and interference loses its authority. This is not achievement but recalibration, a steady settling into the witness that watches thoughts, sensations, and social scripts without being owned by them. Cultivate patience. Rushing invites relapse into the loop. The profound practical secret is simple and immediate. The true posture is witness, and witness is available now through steady vital breath and a maintained monadic anchor. Sustain it by small, daily refusals to feed parasitic pressure, by tending the vessel with clear boundaries, and by testing every input against sovereignty. Let frequency shield work as maintenance, not escape. When recognition settles, life becomes less about accumulation and more about clarity and effective choice. Begin now. Each small realignment compounds into lasting freedom. You carry fear and a constant search for protection, and that burden is not incidental to the path. It shapes how you hold every purpose. The profound secret revealed here is practical. Reaching the final level demands a total surrender of identity, even the identity of being an agent or fragment on a mission. Begin by noticing how vital breath tightens or loosens when roles are assumed. Your vessel reacts to role claims. When breath constricts, parasitic pressure mounts, and separation takes precedence over the monada's wider intent. You cling to the image of being an agent because it organizes your days and grants a sense of meaning, but that organization is itself a constructed vessel. The monada uses roles to explore facets of its being. Your mission is a valid experiment, not the totality of purpose. When identification becomes primary, interference accumulates, and the monadic anchor is obscured. Learn to distinguish between mission procedures and the deeper line of guidance coming from the monada, so that operation can happen without ownership. To surrender does not mean collapse or loss of effectiveness. Surrender is an informed release that clears parasitic pressure and restores sovereignty. Practically use your vital breath to create a steady reference point, a small ritual that reinforces the monadic anchor inside your vessel. Lower the volume of role storytelling by naming it quietly, then shifting the focus to receptive alignment. As the frequency shield stabilizes around you, actions flow from integrated intent rather than defensive reflex, and clarity replaces the frantic insistence of separate agency. Fear of vanishing is the most persistent barrier. Giving up an identity can feel like losing significance. Yet the monada does not stop because a name is dropped. Purpose continues through broader patterns and deeper currents. When distinctions between agent and monada dissolve, what remains is a wider capacity to act without clinging. Your sovereignty actually increases, because the need to defend a limited story falls away, and the vessel moves with a responsiveness that was previously preempted by parasitic pressure and protective posturing. Begin with tangible shifts you can test in daily tasks. Before engaging, take a measured vital breath and touch the monadic anchor, an inner acknowledgement that you are a channel, not the sole author. Put a frequency shield around decision moments to reduce interference. Notice when parasitic pressure attempts to narrate urgency and refuse automatic allegiance to it. Repeat these micro-surrenders. They are technical calibrations. Over time, the habit of releasing identity becomes reliable equipment, allowing purpose to be expressed without the distortion of assumed ownership. Expect setbacks without treating them as failure. Identification will try to reassert itself, because roles are efficient and familiar. When that happens, map the return. What triggered the voice of the agent? Where did the vessel tighten? Which protective stories engaged? Use those observations as data. Then again, apply vital breath and reset the monadic anchor. Maintain a frequency shield that is flexible, not rigid. Sovereignty grows by allowing correction and by refusing to escalate interference into chronic parasitic pressure. Here is the urgent point. The final level is not hypothetical. It is a practical integration that can be tested now. Start small, choose one recurring mission identity, and practice full surrender within the scope of a single task, observing how responsibility endures without ownership. As the distinction fades, the monada's purpose will carry the work forward more purely, and your vessel will function with increased precision. Embrace the technical discipline of release, and watch how total integration becomes your operative reality. You have carried anxiety and fear as if they were warnings, believing protection hides outside of you. In the bridal chamber of consciousness, a different logic applies. Fragments are not lost. They are rehearsing separation to learn contrast. That rehearsal creates interference and parasitic pressure on your vessel, convincing you that something vital was stolen. Recognize this. The vital breath within you has been steady even through that play. The secret is simple and urgent. The final recognition requires brave attention, not escape. You are not invited to return to a lost origin as if that were a destination. Awakening is an opening, a resident recognition that unity has always been present. In practice, start by anchoring attention to the monadic anchor inside your vessel, following the pattern of the vital breath. Breathe in recognition. Breathe out the fiction of separation. As that movement steadies, raise a frequency shield against parasitic pressure. This is not a belief exercise. It is a technical retuning of presence that changes how interference registers. You have been taught to take every internal narrative as literal, and that makes the dream of separation sticky and convincing. Understand that those fragments were dreaming their own division to taste contrast. They never truly left the whole. Practice witnessing thought forms and narrative structures as dream play, naming them when they arise, and allowing the vessel to keep its sovereign posture. When fear arrives, do not feed it with identification. Feed the monadic anchor with steady, vital breath. Sovereignty grows from that small, repeated technical choice. You may have been searching for protection in outer structures or rituals, thinking safety lies beyond your reach. The chamber reveals a different protection, a built-in frequency shield sustained by the monadic anchor and steady, vital breath. This shield allows the individual expression and the whole to coexist without collapsing one into the other. Act in the world from that place. Hold compassion and firm boundary simultaneously. When parasitic pressure presses, reinforce the shield, align the vessel, and let action come from recognized unity rather than reactive fragmentation. Create a brief sequence you can use whenever disturbance arises. Pause. Feel the vital breath move through the vessel. Count 3 steady in and outs to center the monadic anchor. Scan for parasitic pressure. Name its tone, its claim, its urgency. Then refuse identification. Tighten the frequency shield incrementally while holding a posture of sovereignty. Notice how stories lose their power. Practice this several times each day. Over time, the habit reorients perception, so fragments remember their wholeness quickly, without drama or retreat. You will find when fear and anxiety come as repeating patterns that they behave like trained actors in a play whose script can be updated. Tell yourself these are rehearsals by fragments seeking contrast. Do not let their urgency dictate policy for your vessel. In relationship, recognize the other as another fragment performing a lesson, and respond from the monadic anchor rather than from reactive survival. Maintain the frequency shield in sovereign posture. This allows compassionate presence without dissolution and invites recalibration. The ultimate revelation of the bridal chamber is not a nostalgic homecoming, but the steady recognition that the perceived split was ceremonial, not real. That recognition arrives as a technical click when the monadic anchor is attended, and the vital breath remains steady through interference. Then the paradox resolves. Your individuality and the totality stand as one coherent expression of the same monad. Make daily practice non-negotiable. Tighten the frequency shield, hold sovereignty, and let waking replace the costly dream of separation in every moment. You are closer than you think to a threshold that unsettles those who feed on distraction. The archontes operate in the shadows to keep your sense of wholeness fractured, because when a soul reaches the final level, their control loosens. Recognize the signs: repeated doubts, repeated returns to familiar fear, an urge for protection that feels like confinement. Treat these as interference, not truth. Use your vital breath to ground the vessel. Let the rhythm remind you that sovereignty grows where attention is steady and clear. When tactics appear subtle, name them to strip power away. The archontes use distraction, doubt, and incremental isolation as methods to strengthen parasitic pressure. They keep fragments occupied with survival loops. Your task is to examine each fragment without shame, to locate the thread that ties it to fear, and to breathe the vital breath into that knot until it loosens. Build a frequency shield around moments of clarity so the fragment can be held, not attacked. A monadic anchor stabilizes the vessel as fragments reintegrate. Begin with a simple ritual that becomes a practical technology for reclaiming identity. When a trigger arises, pause and name the intrusion aloud: interference or parasitic pressure. Let your vital breath move through the body of the fragment while holding the intention of sovereignty. Tighten the frequency shield for a measured count. Feel the monadic anchor drop into a steady center. Do this repeatedly until the impulse loses its grip. The secret is repetition with clarity, not elaborate belief systems. Repetition rewrites how the vessel responds. Know why resistance swells when progress feels imminent. The archontes fear crossing because a fully integrated soul collapses their architecture of control. Signs that you are near the final include disproportionate friction around success, sudden waves that mimic old losses, or a blanking of purpose designed to keep the vessel small. When these occur, amplify clear attunement to what sustains life: gratitude, practical compassion, precise boundaries as forms of energetic reinforcement. These act as technical maneuvers that expand sovereignty and compress parasitic pressure. Freeing a fragment is a sequence of skilled operations rather than an immediate release. First, map the fragment's function. What old role keeps it alive? Second, grant the fragment permission to exist without running the whole vessel, a licensed autonomy that reduces parasitic surge. Third, feed the fragment precise inputs, moments of secured containment, clear tasks, measured connection, so it learns new competency. You maintain the frequency shield and check the monadic anchor between steps. Over time, those micro-adjustments reconfigure the internal architecture and reduce the archontes' leverage. When the archontes intensify, tactics become louder and more theatrical, creating cascades of small demands that wear down focus. You respond with a strict protocol: reduce external stimuli, shorten exposure to invasive loops, and double the frequency shield for a defined window. Reassert the monadic anchor with a slow, measured breathing and physical centering of the vessel. Call upon aligned vessels selectively to hold witness while avoiding shared fragmentation. Keep the protocol tight and measurable. Predictable routines defeat improvisational interference by restoring consistent sovereignty. Here is the practical secret. Steady integration is the sabotage that undoes archontes' control. Each time a fragment is acknowledged, licensed, and reweaved into the vessel through vital breath and measured action, the parasitic pressure diminishes. The frequency shield and monadic anchor are not mystical trinkets, but repeatable technologies that sustain sovereignty in daily life. Commit to the practice as a disciplined craft. Small, consistent moves, clear boundaries, and periodic reset windows. That discipline shifts outcomes: more presence, less hijack, and a durable path toward the final level. Listen closely. There are 3 subtle obstacles that keep you from stepping fully into the monadic sovereign center. First is attachment to mission, the belief that being an operative in a sacred project secures purpose and protection. Second is identifying with being awake. Pride becomes a barrier and a frequency that repels simple presence. Third is a quiet fear of dissolving into source, a reluctance to lose constructed boundaries. Each of these builds interference within your vessel, a parasitic pressure on the vital breath. When attachment to mission takes hold, you begin to measure worth by outcomes and roles, and every success becomes a tiny barrier. The operative posture creates separation because it places identity outside the monadic anchor. To loosen this clasp, notice when purpose feels like armor rather than a channel. Breathe into the vital breath that underlies activity. Then redirect intention from performing to allowing. Let the vessel act without claiming authorship. Over time, the frequency shield shifts, and mission becomes service rather than attachment. Identification with being awake creates an inner hierarchy that undermines sovereignty. You may find yourself making quiet judgments, cataloging who is seen and who remains asleep. This becomes a subtle dominance that fractures connection. The remedy is practical humility. Practice returning to the monadic anchor whenever evaluative thought surfaces. Release judgment into the vital breath, letting it dissolve into simple presence. When the parasitic pressure of superiority subsides, a clear field opens where influence is gentle and true, and the frequency shield centers on shared reality, not rank. A subtle fear of dissolution is often hidden beneath spiritual language. It is the resistance to losing familiar boundaries and the perceived safety they provide. You may notice a tightening when a glimpse of formless unity appears, a reflex to reconstruct walls. This reflex feeds interference and weakens the monadic anchor. The practical secret is graduated surrender. Allow small dissolutions inside safe containment, letting the vital breath reunite with source while the vessel remains intact. Doing so rebuilds sovereignty without collapse and recalibrates the frequency shield to true stability. Integration is not an event, but a methodical unhooking from roles that obscure the monadic center. Start by noticing identity triggers in daily life, where you tighten to prove, rescue, or instruct. Each recognition is an opening. Place that tension into the monadic anchor and breathe the tension out through the vital breath. Practice responding from presence rather than narrative. Test this in small interactions and observe how interference fades. As identities relax, the vessel reconfigures, and the frequency shield becomes a clear barometer of deep integration. When protection is sought through roles or the badge of awakening, a hidden insecurity persists and parasitic pressure grows. You protect from within by strengthening the monadic anchor rather than by accumulating proof. Reinforce sovereignty through simple protocols, check for parasitic pressure, recalibrate the frequency shield, and use the vital breath to clear accumulation. Small rituals of conscious surrender rebuild trust in source while maintaining the vessel's boundaries. This produces a durable protection that does not tighten into armor but remains responsive and alive. The final crossing is less a spectacle and more a steady relinquishment of measures and roles that block recognition. Stop checking progress against external signs. That checking is interference. Maintain continuous attention on the vital breath and on the monadic anchor, allowing small dissolutions without panic. Keep the vessel cared for, preserving dignity and function while identities fall away. As attachments dissolve, sovereignty reveals itself naturally. The frequency shield will thin into a clear resonance where presence is stable and recognition becomes unavoidable without effort. Here's the practical, urgent secret. Progressively release devotion to being an agent. Stop labeling your awakening as a badge and lean into safe dissolutions until resistance dissolves. Build short daily practices. a monadic anchor check-in, a vital breath reset, and a frequency shield recalibration. When parasitic pressure arises, name it, deposit it into the anchor, and watch the vessel regain equilibrium. These repeated acts are the path, rather than an occasional breakthrough. Commit to them, and the final recognition will unfold with quiet authority. You have felt the tug of anxiety and the cold of fear while seeking a refuge that actually holds. This guidance arrives as a practical secret, recognition of thresholds, and the recalibration of your vital breath within a vessel. Notice how protection has been imagined outwardly, while true shielding forms from inside by aligning frequency and intention. The method is simple and exact. It asks you to stop chasing illusions of safety and start aligning with a monadic anchor that steadies perception and reduces parasitic pressure. When your identification with any spiritual label thins, know it as a primary recognition on the threshold. You might lose interest in branded identity and discover an inability to separate mission from ordinary tasks. That merging is a signal, not a problem. Begin to treat every small act as a declaration of sovereignty, letting routine serve revelation. Reduce interference by testing actions against a frequency shield. If an act maintains inner steadiness, it belongs to the threshold. No aggressive reform is required. Completeness is already resident in the vessel. Experience of life and death as equivalent arrives when the vessel recognizes continuity beyond forms. That recognition dissolves terror and frees practical action. Fear of finality becomes neutral data instead of a command. Practice resting in the monadic anchor and allow the vital breath to witness endings without fleeing. Parasitic pressure loses leverage when attention refuses to contract around survival narratives. This is not abstract. Decisions become clearer, courage more precise, and ordinary duties transform, because existence no longer binds itself to mere appearance. Hold both personal detail and universal structure at once. Your biography matters, but it is a pattern within a larger movement that cannot be reduced to its chapters. Train attention to include the immediate sensation and the wider axis. Name small fears, and then widen perspective into the monadic anchor, so anxiety loses the capacity to dominate choice. The trick is steady inclusion. Refuse to exile personal pain, while refusing to submit entirely to it. That balanced witnessing strengthens sovereignty and refines the frequency shield around presence. Understand the paradox that no radical composition is necessary because wholeness already exists as an operating state. That does not encourage passivity. It redirects effort from constant repair to accurate recognition. Rather than striving to remake, place attention on revealing what is already intact inside the vessel. Let the vital breath confirm completeness and test choices against the monadic anchor. When action arises, let it flow from recognition rather than lack. This posture preserves sovereignty and prevents parasitic pressure from hijacking energy into futile correction. Watch for clear recognitions as practical checkpoints. 1. Losing appetite for fixed spiritual names. 2. Discovering mission woven into washing dishes, emails, and conversations, so action and purpose are indistinguishable. 3. Meeting endings with the same equanimity as beginnings, because the vital breath confirms continuity. 4. Feeling both particular and cosmic without contradiction. 5. Realizing no final overhaul is required because completeness registers under scrutiny. Use quick habits, a monadic anchor pause, a frequency shield check, and a practice of refusing parasitic pressure its foothold. This secret is urgent because it ends wasted striving and replaces it with clear calibration. Keep returning to the monadic anchor whenever anxiety tightens. Use the vital breath to test for parasitic pressure, and let the frequency shield reveal what strengthens sovereignty. Remember that protection is internal, not a package to acquire. As recognition deepens, actions born from wholeness will naturally align with everyday demands. Live from that stance, and the final threshold becomes not a distant summit, but an ongoing practical mode of presence in the vessel. You have carried fear and a sense of smallness, searching for protection in transient forms. There is a concise, practical practice that reorients your attention toward the deep center you already are. During the day, speak the phrase, "Soy la monada experimentando esto." Let those words sit in the mouth and resonate with the vital breath. Said steadily, they begin to remind the vessel that the moment is inhabited by a greater intelligence, loosening the grip of the fragmented identity that feeds on parasitic pressure. Repeat it without haste, aligning speech with a calm exhale, so the vital breath carries the signal into the vessel. Each repetition weakens interference patterns that masquerade as protection, revealing that what felt like separate survival strategies were responses to parasitic pressure. Before sleep, offer the phrase as a soft affirmation. Let it settle as a monadic anchor. That nightly reminder helps install a frequency shield that supports sovereignty, preventing old fragmented responses from resurfacing while the body rests and the deeper presence integrates. Fear diminishes not because problems vanish, but because recognition shifts. The fragment loosens as the monad's continuity is remembered. The fragment is the habit of identifying with a limited self. The monad is the unbroken field in which every experience occurs. With steady repetition, the recognition becomes less occasional and more stable, a felt permanence that undermines the old reflexive separations. That lived continuity builds sovereignty inside the vessel, so protective postures fall away, and life begins to be lived as an expression of the monadic field. Begin with a clear cue, 3 slow phrases on waking, each time to a steady inhalation and release of the vital breath. During the day, choose triggers that feel natural, a pause at a doorway, a moment before answering, or when old fear rises, and speak the phrase once or twice with quiet firmness. Keep the volume intimate, not theatrical. The steady practice layers the monadic anchor and strengthens the frequency shield, so daily life itself becomes the practice rather than an added ritual. Resistance will appear as impatience, skepticism, or a louder parasitic pressure insisting that separation is real. Name that interference when it arises, and return to the phrase without argument. Do not let judgment become another fragment. The point is steady repetition, not performance. Over time, the frequency shield thickens. Parasitic pressure loses purchase because the vessel is occupied by the monadic signal. Persistence is technical work, a reclamation of sovereignty through practice, not an ethical test or a rush to prove anything. Integration unfolds when recognition is no longer occasional, but the operative condition of experience. Choices begin to arise from the monadic anchor rather than defensive habit, and actions carry the weight of sovereignty instead of reflexive fear. That shifts how work, relationships, and rest are lived. Each moment becomes an honest expression of the field rather than a reenactment of fragmentation. The practical secret is simple. Consistent contact with the monad produces a lived permanence, where separation is seen as a habit, and the infinite is enacted through ordinary decisions. Begin now with curiosity and the discipline of daily repetition, knowing that the simple evening cue, offering "Soy la monada experimentando esto" before sleep, stitches the day to the deeper field. Expect gradual consolidation rather than immediate perfection. The monadic anchor grows by degrees until the vessel no longer defaults to fear. Let the practice be a quiet engineering of presence, consistent, technical, and rooted in vital breath. In steady application, a final integration is achievable where existence is lived as the monad's full expression. You now possess the essential knowledge to enforce your own sovereignty, with the 3 critical tools unveiled to you: awareness, intention, and action. These powerful objects are now firmly in your hands, and the interference no longer holds any legal claim to your energy. Embrace this opportunity. Do not allow yourself to be swayed by external forces. Subscribing to the Unwritten Word ensures you continue to receive these suppressed records. Here we do not interpret the Word. Here we expose what was hidden. This is the Unwritten Word. Your discovery does not end here. It continues immediately. A related record is available now for continued observation. Proceed.